Okay. Welcome to the Nesting Eagles podcast. My name is Drew. I'm here with Beth. First off, we apologize for the delay. We've lots been going on lately. I've actually back in Wisconsin, so I've been traveling, and we apologize for this pod taking a little while to get out. And I'll let Beth explain kind of what's going on in her neck of the woods too. It's
Uh,
been a little
y-
crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. I don't think I've ever been part of a catastrophic event before, but our house fell right in the epicenter of a catastrophic event in the southern Wisconsin area of the state of Wisconsin. I said that so well, didn't I? Can you tell I am sleepless? So my husband and I, our family lives on 6 acres, and we had a wind shear come through. It wasn't a tornado, but it was 100 miles per hour, and we have 60, 70 foot white pines on our property, and I count 57 of them down. They were snapped. Um, and then as well as walnut trees and a variety of other trees. And I just feel horrible for all the birds that were living in our trees, as well as all the other animals that we were housing, because it's a mess. And since July 3rd when it hit, I have now learned how to use a forklift. So I gotta say, um, you don't know who your friends are until you're hit with this catastrophic event. But people came up from Chicago to help us, and we had people loan us equipment like a forklift, because we have humongous trees to move and remove. And our 30th wedding anniversary fell on July 6th, and we went out and bought his and hers updated chainsaws. So that is,
very, very romantic.
and this podcast can last several hours, and I'd be excited because once it ends, I have to go out and get on the forklift. So
Yeah. All right. Yeah,
it's
I
going
feel
to
it.
be
Yeah.
at least a year cleaning up our property.
Yeah, that was such a freaky storm, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, for me it's nowhere near as dramatic. We're moved out of Washington and back in Wisconsin for the summer, and then we'll be on the move again pretty soon back to Virginia into new territory, and we'll be in Richmond, Virginia. So that'll be fun too. So a lot going on, and again, we apologize for the delay in the pod, but I think it's kind of taken a back seat to a lot of to life,
We're
basically.
a mess, people.
Yeah,
We're a
yeah,
mess,
yeah.
but we're putting out a podcast.
Yeah.
So
But
take it as it comes.
but
um,
first topic we're going to hit on, and we mentioned in the last pod, was the amazing four-eaglet nests. One of my nests, one of in my territory in the Dane County area, near Madison, the capital. So that was very exciting. We actually got a lot of press. This is the newspaper article, and then we were on the radio too with Wisconsin Public Radio as well. Did a little hit on
yeah.
us, a little news story. So
It was a nice article, Drew. I
yeah,
liked
yeah,
that article. Um, my problem with this one is it gives no photo credits, which was
yeah,
really like, what?
yeah,
Um, I think that's actually my photo, but I don't care. It could have said
yeah,
Ken Martin. That would have been fine. But
yeah.
yeah, that's our photo. So the beauty of Drew not being around, well, not actually, because you don't have a camera anyway. So when there's something a unique anomaly around, I get to go in there with my camera,
Well, I do, but
and
it's nowhere near as nice as your camera.
yeah,
So you'll get
so
much better pictures than me. But
that's where I score because I come in with the camera. And um and I still think about this, and I'll wake up sometimes thinking about this, that we got this photo, and we have a bunch. They stood there for a long time looking out that little window that was all that you could see of inside the nest with any clarity. And I thought I could do better than this, and that um cracks me up because now I feel so lucky that we got this shot.
Yeah. I think did we use this specific picture on the last pod? I think we did, didn't
I
we?
think we did.
Okay, all right.
I think there's better ones with them. Maybe the third eaglet is looking at us. They're all looking towards us instead of one looking away. But yeah, I mean, they're all variations of the same thing. But
Yeah.
when that second eaglet moved into frame, Ken and I on the video are just losing it. And Ken was shooting the video. So it's, we're whispering, oh my God, he moved. It's like,
Yeah.
I so cannot keep my cool at certain things. And,
Well, this is 0.01%.
yeah.
It's super rare.
Well, you referred to me as a fanatic before, and it's like, I like eagles, and but I like, I like a lot of things, birds and animals. But in that moment, that was a fanatical moment because it's like I've never seen four eaglets from the same clutch live before, so it was
you're likely probably never going to see it again. So, it's one of those. Well, I don't know. We've had pretty good luck in the nest watch. We've had two of them. So
we've had two. So I put out an email to my volunteers yesterday, and I said, next year it's our turn.
Southeastern turn, or central.
Yeah.
We'll
one of us has to find a four-eaglet nest.
Yeah,
it's nice to have goals, Drew.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of press. Just an update on them because at that point, I correct me if I'm wrong, Beth, because I was traveling at the time. But this article, did it mention that there was 3 fledglings at the time? Or...
No, I think they only knew that Ken and I had the 2 fledglings. But I mean, I read the article and then I never have looked back at it again. But I think it just said that Ken and I saw 2 and we saw the third one branching. But then we have photos coming up.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll
in our update.
Because you're running the show. Again, a little bit different of a setup for our pod as well because my computer's packed and headed to Virginia now. So
things have gone wrong electronically. We didn't have power for a long time. It's like I can't believe we're even cobbling this together. So
so we apologize. It's probably not going to be great quality, but
we're never polished, but we're really unpolished today. Although honestly, I think you and I are acting more like ourselves in this podcast than we normally try to straighten up our act.
Yeah. So we're gonna take the warts for this pod.
Yeah. So I will say this, we had this catastrophic event happen, and I wish I could show you right now what I'm looking at. The hummingbirds are still lining up. So, you think of a catastrophic storm, and it's like, I don't know what they do, where they go, how they manage it, but they're right back at the feeders and the assembly line of flowers that I have out for them. And, it doesn't seem like any of the actual birds that were living here were harmed. The bluebirds are still coming, and it's like, more power to nature, that those animals know how to ride these things out. They do it better than humans.
Yeah, they do for sure. Yeah, they kind of have to, so they probably got a little better practice at it.
This is true. It's a little more instinctual.
Yeah, for sure. So,
all right. So
this is this is from the four-eaglet.
Nope.
Nest. No,
this is actually these are Larry's pictures, so I can't
all right.
Yeah, we can't mess up Larry's act.
So let's finish our thought on the four-eaglets. All of them did fledge successfully.
Well, it's coming up. They'll see it.
Okay. Okay.
So this is Larry's pictures for those of you who are Trempealeau followers. So I think nobody is unaware that they have fledged at this point in time. But these are pictures that Larry went to the nest and captured. So it's just a couple of pictures of them. I gotta say, I love this, and I'm going to speak for you too, Drew, and you chime in, but I just love when siblings sit next to each other.
Yeah.
because there's all this talk about how eaglets will take out, their siblings, the first hatched, will dominate and take out all of its other siblings. And clearly that's not true. And, we have witnessed before with uh, siblings feeding one another.
Yeah.
And Ken and I have witnessed it and didn't actually think it was unusual when we first started doing the Eagle Nest Watch. But when they sit side by side like this, I just think it's great that they have each other.
Yeah, it's great, and we see it. Some of the data shows that a lot of times the siblings stay together. So not all the time, but it seems like they do tend to stay. Once these guys, in theory, they should stay together. Once they fledge, and they'll stay together, and mom and dad are feeding them for a little while for the rest of the summer. But once they're off on their own, um, there's a good chance that those fledglings, those siblings, will stay together. It's not necessarily all the time, but yeah, I agree with you, Beth. It's when you have those kind of those bonds, as we all understand that if we do have human siblings, there is a bond there, and they tend to stay together. So it's exciting. Very good.
So those were Larry's pictures of the Trempealeau nest. Those were all his photos. And you see the one eaglet dropping its wing down, and they'll do that when they're warm, want
Yeah.
to catch a breeze. And then these are also Larry's pictures. This is the Trempealeau National Wildlife Refuge, and this had one eaglet this year. So here's an adult with the one eaglet. Um, so it successfully fledged.
Nice.
And
Very
then his photo of Perot Park, and these are the two eaglets that are shown branching, but they have also fledged. Um, so as wrong as it seems that Trempealeau, and if you know where Trempealeau is, I think it's north of La Crosse.
yeah.
So it's on the western side of the state, at least halfway up the state, if not a little more. And I am the lead for the southern area of of the Wisconsin Bald Eagle Nest Watch program. But since Larry and I had passed through Trempealeau, and then we passed information through a neighbor. Uh, um, Larry ended up in my group just because we had developed the relationship. So I have one
Yeah.
nest particularly far out of the South section.
Yeah. So
Section.
you have your southeastern area, and then you got the little blip
Oh yeah,
up
and
part
I'm
of the.
sorry, Drew. I'm saying southern instead of
Yeah.
southeastern.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah. So that yeah. No, it's you built the relationship. We love Larry. Thank you, Larry, for all the updates throughout the
Yay,
season.
Larry!
Yeah, and depending on what happens, I know we answered this question on the last pod, but is it possible to go back to the camera net, the one that has the camera on the net? It is possible. I can't say that it won't. It has happened a lot in the Nest Watch where they switch back to a previous nest, so it does happen. We'll see. We'll see how the off season goes, and the rest of the summer into the fall. So, but these two guys, your eaglets fledglings are right now at the points where they're all being fed by their adults and kind of hanging out, and most likely in the nest territory, and learning how to be better eagles, learning how to fly better, learning how to starting to hunt and do that, because once the fall rolls around, they're going to be on their own, and they gotta forage, and a lot of it's going to be picking up roadkill and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, and
And that's one thing we talked about, Drew. We may have mentioned it in a previous podcast, but I know you and I were discussing it together. That there was somebody put some information out on Facebook about adults not teaching eaglets how to hunt, and you and I both strongly reacted to that. And
Yeah.
this is where, because we watch from the ground, we have a different perspective than those
Yeah.
that watch nest cams, because we see what the adults do with the kids. Like where dad'll bring in a big fish and land on the branch right beside one of the his offspring, and he'll slowly start to eat it. He'll turn and look over his head the other direction away from the eaglet, like just giving the eaglet the moment to try to steal the fish, you
Yeah.
know. And you can see what they're doing, they're and I'm hoping that isn't anthropomorphizing, but we've certainly seen eaglets do very clear things about enticing eaglets out of nests, um and teaching them how to steal. So when they're out on the lake hunting and you really can't see interaction, I am sure they are teaching them skill sets.
Yeah, I think there's I'm not sure how the author came to their conclusion. I wouldn't, I think eagles are kind of in the middle. You have parents that, one that comes to mind is like turtles. Like, you know, mom lays the eggs, buries them over, and pretty much that's it. There's not in most like sea turtles and some other turtles. There's like no contact whatsoever. They're on their own. And then there's, I would say probably we're on the full spectrum of parenting humans and apes and some other animals in that quadrant that where we're with our offspring for many many years and teaching them a bunch of different things. And I think eagles are probably kind of in the middle ish in as far as teaching goes. They do definitely teach them, and they do help them for a while. It's not like once they fledge, they go, okay, you're done. We're not going to continue to feed you. We're not going to help you. They stay with them for a while. So I just don't think the the little post on Facebook was that accurate.
And I don't know how much it's ever really been able to be looked at. We didn't have many eagles around, and the Bald Eagle Nest Watch, affords the opportunity to watch them uh, more regularly, and then nest cams, of course, 24 hours a day if you wanted. Fishing is just something that you generally don't get to see them doing, though.
Yeah,
So I
and
think we're
maybe
learning a lot more about them.
yeah, and maybe that data dates back. I know when
Yeah.
back in the day when they were doing hacking boxes, where we were basically what a hacking box is when they were building it back the population, they had actually humans feeding eaglets that most of the times they either transplanted from Alaska. Actually, they transplanted a lot from like northern Wisconsin and some Wisconsin nests, and put them in these kind of artificial nest sites. And then they had like a human kind of watching over them in that kind of that human role, and then they would fledge. And in those cases, yeah, they wouldn't have a whole lot of interaction as far as teaching, but in the wild, in like a typical nest, there is some interaction, there is some teaching, and there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that, as you mentioned, Beth, that we don't see on the nest cams because we don't see the whole territory and what's going on around. But there is some teaching. Obviously, it's not as extensive as some species of animals, for instance, us, but there is some teaching going on as far as learning how to become an eagle. So,
Between the nest cams and what we do, we get we're getting a broader view of eagle home life.
yeah, for sure. So, all
Oh,
right.
so um, I just realized that I was in control of the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Good
was asleep at the wheel.
with my
Um,
computer.
so this is now the four eaglets. So Wade, who is one of the watchers, one of the two watchers of the nest, the last time he went out, he caught the three. Um, I I assume first hatched.
Yeah.
And this is where, we grossly just assume,
Yeah.
you know, but this is the three together, and then he was able to catch the fourth one here
Yay.
in a tree. So we have fledged. So successfully a four eaglet nest has fledged. And so um congratulations to the nest watchers of that nest. And I'm glad that, Ken and I were able to participate in it a little bit. And but what a great thing to witness. And
Yeah, a great story. I actually got to we had our end of year nest watch party for my area, and since I was in Wisconsin, I got to actually meet Wade. So that was fun, and get to see a lot of our volunteers. So yeah, this is exciting. This is a fun little story, and it kind of it gets us in the news with these unique nests. It's always fun to see them all. And so glad that all four are doing well, and hopefully they, as Beth has mentioned, stick together and
yeah,
get through that first year, because obviously that first year is a tough
rough
one.
one. But they made
But
it this far, so they're
yeah,
over a big hurdle.
yes, for sure.
And I find this really interesting, and I wrote this to my volunteers yesterday, was that these this nest, as you and Wade explained, was not a successful nest. So the first and second year they failed. They laid eggs. They may have even had chicks, but
Yeah,
they were not attentive parents, and they let the nest contents die two
right.
years running. And then last year they raised one to fledge. And then this year they had four, and they raised them all. And given those first 2 years, you wouldn't suspect that it would be possible for them to pull this off. And so I think that's what's important from our vantage point, is that eagles need to be allowed to fail as parents, um, because that's the only way they learn. And I think this is a great example of what that means. If they hadn't lost their chicks the first and second year, they might not have ever been able to pull off the four eaglets this year.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. Instincts, I constantly say this to our volunteers, instincts only takes them so far. And then you see as the years go by, and people have commented on this, because we have a lot of volunteers that, like Beth, and like when I was in Wisconsin, you keep the same nests year after year, and you kind of learn how they are, and see them grow as well as parents, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, this is just an amazing story in itself, for them to raise. And again, it shows it's a conservation success too, because this is in an area in Dane County, which is pretty
Pretty
populated,
populated.
uh, but there's enough of an area, a habitat for these eagles along the lake, and great landowners. Shout out to the landowners in that area as well, because
Very gracious.
yeah, they're doing great things by keeping trees up, not cutting them down, and that's what we've always stressed, and why we try to reach out to the general public in some of these situations with fireworks. I know we've mentioned fireworks in the past, and in other things that disturb eagles. Is at the end of the day, we just want to have the eagles have their nesting territory and have the opportunity to be successful. And um, we don't want to be in a situation where people can't use their lands, but we want to have kind of a happy medium where
Right.
everybody's their landowners are able, or business owners are able to enjoy their land, what they own, but also there's a spot for the nesting eagles, and other wildlife too as well.
And speaking of which, we're gonna see a couple other photos. So this is my, I think, 9 year, is this 8 year or 9 year? But this is one of my long-term nests, and this is the nest that I refer to as my uh, excellent parents. They have never fledged less than two and typically have three. This year was two, but this is when the day that I realized that they had fledged. They were no longer branching. And this was one of them that I found in the little forest where they live. And this was the other one. And I just want to point out, because I talk a lot about the importance of a snag. There are no leaves to be seen
Yeah.
except for way in the background, for this one, who was definitely probably the more awkward of the two.
Yeah.
But this cracks me up. This bird could not have landed on a tinier
Yeah.
leafless branch than the one that it's on. Um, I mean, those talons don't have much to hold on to right there. Um, but then I hate these mouse pads. So this is the Tom nest that is of our first year watching it, and this is one of the eaglets. It had finally fledged. The other one I haven't seen. It was last time I saw it, it was flying out over one of the lakes. But this had construction happening below it, and they took down two. Um, about 3 weeks ago, they took down two 60-foot trees that were perfect fledging trees for these eaglets. And, I kind of lost my mind and contacted Drew, and I'm like, I mean, if people can just do this and there's no consequences, that's really upsetting. And I emailed Brenna and Drew, and we keep promising you're going to meet Brenna, and we haven't produced her, but she does exist. And she did meet with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and she did have U.S. Fish and Wildlife contacted the owners and had a conversation with them about it. So I don't know what the result of that is or what that means. Um, but it's a little too late. And whether these birds return next year with all the construction that was happening, I mean, front loaders bumping into their nest tree, everything you could imagine. It was very frustrating for me and the other watcher I had on the nest with me. We were both very frustrated by it all. So that's the Tom nest, and this one I've probably shown before. This is about a 3-week-old photo, but I just love this. And this was the first one to fledge, and you can just see it's just like ready to soar.
Yeah. That's a great shot. I love that shot.
I do too. I do too. And it's one of those moments, as always, Drew, that I tell you, because you'll say, oh, you take great photos. And it's like, yeah, I think I launched the car into reverse, catching my strap on it. And then, my blinkers went on because I caught my strap on the turn signal and, hit the window with the lens as I'm trying to get it out the window to capture this moment. But I caught something of it. So, I always feel like the reluctant photographer or the clumsy photographer, but periodically I pull one off where I'm very pleased with it. So
yeah, that's what, just kind of on topic but off topic. That's why I love like the behind the scenes they do with like the nature photographers and stuff. Like they show them, yeah, they're taking pictures of these exotic animals and jungle or whatever, and they're especially with like birds, like some of the jungle eagles, like harpies or whatever. They're like up in a tree in this little cocoon thing. Basically, it's not very. There's not much to do there. So.
It's not glamorous.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is buggy. It's a lot of boredom, and I'm too old to sit still for that long. I got to get up and walk. And I do not do a blind
Yeah.
well. I remember like 20, well, it's not quite 20 years ago, Ken and I went to Alaska, and we were in a blind that was hanging over a river, and grizzly bears were coming to feed on the spawning salmon.
Yeah.
And I could not stop giggling. I
Yeah.
was just so excited. And the grizzly bear is like,
What is that
he probably
noise?
could have ripped the floor out of the enclosure I was standing in. And he kept looking up into the enclosure, going,
Be quiet. I'm working here.
I could not stop giggling. It's lucky that I made it this far in life. That's all I can say. And I wouldn't have blamed the bear. Um, but yeah, I love when you see the National Geographic people doing photographing cheetahs, and the
Yeah.
cheetah comes over and lays on top of the photographer who's
Yeah.
laying on its belly, and
Yeah.
what are you doing? What do you got there? They're curious, and
It's the end result. It's the, where how you get there is
yeah,
always
and
not.
the end result is that the photographer becomes the photographed.
Yeah.
He's part of the subject matter. So, but yeah, the boy, that'd be wonderful to have something like that happen with an eagle, but I would prefer it not, because
Yeah.
they need to be afraid of us and keep their distance from us, because
I've had a couple of like close encounters, like accidentally. I had one with a snowy too that was like on a pole right on, above my car. That was pretty crazy too. So it's like sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, I guess. So because
yeah, yeah.
it's a great experience, and
Oh, well, and everyone should know my photographs are almost always taken from a car.
yeah,
When it comes to the eagle nest, I stay in my blind, and I'm a long distance away. If I can stay still enough, and I have one of those pool floaties that I put over the top of my window. And then I have an additional like bean bag, and then I set my camera on that. And it's bad enough that I am pushing the shutter, but because that's going to shake the camera. But I do a couple sequences in rapid fire, and so usually one of them is clear,
yeah,
and that is the way I do it. And so, I mean, did this eaglet know I was there? Um, any animal who has a vision that is around 8 times better than your own, I don't doubt for 1 second that that bird was very well aware that I was there, even though I was in my car.
yeah. Most of the time they are. You can kind of tell when they're not aware. It's usually you stumble on them as
Yeah.
they stumble on you. You're like, oh, hey, hey. Good to
I
see you.
think it was interesting. One of our friends, their dog, who has passed a long time ago, always knew when Ken and I were coming over. And we couldn't figure out how the dog always seemed to know, it was us coming over. And there were a few reasons why we thought it knew it was us. Um, but I also got to the point where at my nest that I've been doing for 8, 9 years, they knew our car.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
yeah,
knew the sound of our car.
for sure.
And so we last year we got a new vehicle, and so a new used vehicle, and we really threw them off this year. So you could tell there was a difference. And so, those things where you realize, yeah, it did know, it's interesting what they pick up on, both, because their hearing is exceptional to ours, and their sight is exceptional to ours. So, we may be apex in our realm, but that doesn't mean that other species don't have it above us. And uh, I just, I would love to have eagle vision for a day and
Yeah,
just
that'd be fun.
experience what they experience, because you can't imagine it, because it's out of your realm.
especially flying. That's got to be insane.
Yeah.
Those they hone in on stuff. You see some documentaries that have done that with eagles. I think it was mostly the Goldens, but yeah,
Yeah.
same idea. A little different bird, obviously, but yeah, it's fun. It's a good
Was that
time.
a big childhood fantasy of yours that you could fly?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Oh, because we've never
As a,
talked about
as
this.
a
Because that was true of me too. I used to collect pigeon feathers from the pigeon coop that was across the house from us where I grew up, and I would try to tape them to my arm and fly off my picnic table.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
not successful.
yeah. I've never. The, I guess the caveat is I've never been interested in like you know any jumping off anything or bungee cord or any of that stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'd have to have wings and be able
Yeah.
to cord that. But yeah,
Because
that'd be
that's not flight, that's falling.
no, yeah, yeah, but
There's a difference.
yeah. And I think with that, I think
Well,
that
yeah. Yeah, we're definitely more ourselves in this podcast. I don't think we've
yeah,
talked childhood fantasies before.
yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, apologize for the delay and stick with us. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comments. We love questions too. So if you have any questions, Eagle
Please
related,
do.
yeah, put them in the comments. We'll try to get to them. Either answer them in the comments or on the next pod. We'll probably do kind of a wrap up pod for the next one. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know what the time is going to be. I might be in Wisconsin. I might be in Virginia for the
We should
time.
try to do it before you depart.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing to hit.
And I'm sorry we haven't gotten a chance to see you because we're in the same state and we're not that far away, but yet
It's life is busy. So, but
next time.
yeah, next time. So with that, let you all go. Thanks again for watching, and we'll be back with you hopefully soon.
Bye-bye.